June 28, 1914. A sunny morning in Sarajevo. Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie are riding through the streets in an open car. Suddenly, shots ring out. Both are dead within minutes. This assassination, everyone knows, triggered World War I. But here's the real question. Why did one murder in the Balkans ignite a war that killed 17 million people? The powder keg. The answer takes us back to 1871. Otto von Bismarck had just united Germany under Prussian leadership. For the first time in centuries, there was a powerful German empire in the heart of Europe. And Bismarck knew something crucial. France was furious. Germany had just defeated France in the Franco-Prussian War and seized the provinces of Alsace and Lorraine. Bismarck understood that France would never forget this humiliation. They'd seek revenge. They'd look for allies. So Bismarck created a masterpiece of diplomacy, a web of alliances designed to isolate France. First, in 1879, Germany allied with Austria-Hungary. This was the dual alliance. Then, in 1882, Italy joined, creating the Triple Alliance. Bismarck even secretly signed the reinsurance treaty with Russia in 1887. His strategy was brilliant. Keep France isolated. Prevent a two-front war. Maintain peace through a balance of power. But everything changed in 1888. Kaiser Wilhelm II became Emperor of Germany. Wilhelm was young, ambitious, and deeply unhappy with Bismarck's cautious approach. He dreamed of a greater Germany, an empire that rivaled Britain. He wanted colonies, naval power, and dominance. In 1890, Bismarck was forced to resign. The old master of diplomacy was gone, and Wilhelm's aggressive new policies began immediately. He let the reinsurance treaty with Russia expire. This was a catastrophic mistake. Russia, now worried about Germany, turned to France. And in 1894, France and Russia formed their own alliance. The very thing Bismarck had worked so hard to prevent. Germany was now surrounded. Meanwhile, Britain had been practicing splendid isolation, staying out of European alliances. But Wilhelm's aggressive naval buildup changed everything. Germany was building a fleet that threatened Britain's naval supremacy. So Britain began looking for friends. In 1904, Britain and France signed the Entente Cordiale. 3 years later, Britain joined with Russia. The Triple Entente was born: Britain, France, and Russia. Now Europe was divided into two armed camps. The Triple Alliance: Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. The Triple Entente: Britain, France, and Russia. All that was needed was a spark. And the most dangerous place in Europe was the Balkans. The Ottoman Empire, once mighty, was collapsing. New nations were emerging: Serbia, Bulgaria, Romania, Montenegro. Austria-Hungary wanted to expand southward into this region. Russia wanted to protect the Slavic peoples there. Serbia dreamed of uniting all South Slavs under its leadership. In 1908, Austria-Hungary annexed Bosnia and Herzegovina. Serbia was outraged. These were Slavic territories, and Serbia believed they should be part of a greater Serbia, not part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Nationalist groups in Serbia began plotting. They wanted to free their Slavic brothers from Austrian rule. One of these groups was called the Black Hand, a secret society of Serbian nationalists. Radical, violent, determined. By 1914, tensions were at breaking point. Austria-Hungary was a declining empire. Emperor Franz Joseph was 84 years old. The empire was a patchwork of ethnic groups, barely held together. Many predicted it would collapse soon. Germany, on the other hand, was rising fast. Industrial production was soaring. The military was powerful and confident. Kaiser Wilhelm believed Germany's time had come. Russia was weak after losing a war to Japan in 1905. Tsar Nicholas II desperately needed to restore Russia's prestige. He couldn't afford to look weak again. France was still bitter about Alsace-Lorraine. They wanted revenge. They were ready. And Britain? Britain was watching nervously. They didn't want Germany to dominate Europe. They'd fight to prevent that. So there it was. By the summer of 1914, Europe was like a powder keg. Alliances locked in place. Militaries mobilized and ready. Nationalism burning hot. Everyone waiting for an excuse. And on June 28, 1914, in Sarajevo, that excuse arrived. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, was visiting Bosnia. A member of the Black Hand named Gavrilo Princip was waiting. 2 shots. The Archduke and his wife were dead. Austria-Hungary now had its justification. They blamed Serbia for harboring terrorists. They would punish Serbia. They would crush Serbian nationalism once and for all. But Serbia had an ally, Russia. And Russia had France. And Germany had promised to support Austria-Hungary no matter what. And Britain was watching, ready to intervene if Belgium was invaded. The dominoes were lined up. All it would take was one push. And in July 1914, that push came. The July Crisis. After the assassination, Austria-Hungary wanted revenge. But they needed to be careful. If they attacked Serbia, Russia might intervene. So Austrian leaders turned to Germany and asked, "Will you support us?" Kaiser Wilhelm was on vacation when he heard the news. He rushed back to Berlin. And on July 5th, Germany gave Austria-Hungary what they called a blank check, full support no matter what. The Kaiser believed Russia wouldn't dare fight. And even if they did, Germany could win. Austria-Hungary drafted an ultimatum to Serbia. It was deliberately harsh, designed to be rejected. Serbia had 48 hours to accept every demand or face war. On July 23rd, the ultimatum was delivered. Serbia's response surprised everyone. They accepted almost everything. But they refused one clause, allowing Austrian police to operate inside Serbia. This, they said, would violate their sovereignty. For Austria-Hungary, this wasn't enough. On July 28th, they declared war on Serbia. Russia now faced an impossible choice. Tsar Nicholas II had promised to protect Serbia. But war with Austria-Hungary meant war with Germany. And Russia wasn't ready. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Sazonov begged the Tsar to mobilize the army, at least partially, to show strength. On July 30th, Nicholas agreed. Russia began mobilizing. When Kaiser Wilhelm heard this, he was furious. He sent an ultimatum to Russia. Stop mobilization within 12 hours, or Germany would mobilize too. This is where things get truly tragic. Because Wilhelm and Nicholas were cousins. They'd grown up together. They called each other Willie and Nicky. And in late July 1914, they exchanged desperate telegrams. Nicholas wrote, "In this serious moment, I appeal to you for help. An ignoble war has been declared on a weak country. The indignation in Russia is enormous. I foresee that very soon I will be overwhelmed by pressure and forced to take extreme measures which will lead to war. To try to avoid such a calamity as a European war, I beg you in the name of our old friendship to do what you can to stop your allies from going too far." Wilhelm replied, "I fully understand how difficult it is for you to face public opinion. Therefore, with regard to the sincere friendship which has bound us together for a long time, I will use my entire influence to get Austria-Hungary to arrive at a satisfactory understanding with you." Back and forth the telegrams went. Willie and Nicky. 2 emperors, trying desperately to stop a war that was spiraling out of control. But Nicholas was facing enormous pressure. His ministers were pushing for war. The military was ready. Public opinion demanded action. And Nicholas had a reputation for being weak and indecisive. He hated that reputation. He'd been mocked for being controlled by Rasputin, the notorious mystic who had enormous influence over the royal family. So on July 30th, during a heated meeting, Nicholas finally snapped. A general muttered something about the difficulty of the decision. And Nicholas exploded. "I will decide," he shouted. and he ordered full mobilization. When Wilhelm received the telegram confirming this, he knew what it meant. Germany mobilized too. Russian Foreign Minister Sazonov immediately called Chief of Staff Nikolai Yanushkevich to confirm the order. He even said, "Smash your telephone so the Tsar can't change his mind." It was too late for diplomacy now. On August 1st, Germany declared war on Russia. In France, generals knew war was inevitable. On July 31st, Britain had asked both France and Germany to respect Belgian neutrality. France agreed. Germany didn't answer. French commander Joseph Joffre wanted to cross the border preemptively. But the French government ordered him to pull back 10 kilometers from the German border. They wanted to make absolutely clear that Germany would be the aggressor. Kaiser Wilhelm was enraged. On August 2nd, German forces invaded Luxembourg. On August 3rd, Germany declared war on France. They demanded permission to march through Belgium. Belgium refused. Early on August 4th, German troops crossed into Belgium. King Albert I of Belgium called for help. Britain issued an ultimatum to Germany: withdraw from Belgium or face war. Germany ignored it. At midnight on August 4th, Britain declared war on Germany. The dominoes had fallen. Austria-Hungary against Serbia. Germany against Russia and France. Britain against Germany. The Ottoman Empire would soon join Germany. Italy would eventually switch sides and join the Allies. What had started with 2 bullets in Sarajevo had become a war that would rage for 4 years. 17 million dead. Empires destroyed. Entire societies shattered. And here's the most tragic part. It didn't solve anything. The Treaty of Versailles that ended the war was so harsh on Germany that it planted the seeds for an even worse conflict. 20 years later, the world would be at war again. World War II would kill 70 million people. All because in July 1914, the leaders of Europe couldn't find a way to step back from the brink. The alliances were too rigid. The pride was too strong. The fear was too great. And 2 cousins, Willie and Nicky, despite their desperate telegrams, couldn't stop the catastrophe. This was World War I, the war to end all wars. Except it wasn't.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next video.